Good morning, friends.
Good morning.
This is Olga and Joe, Antonanka Earth Art School. I hope you're enjoying this beautiful sunny February day, and this is the best time to start thinking about your garden health, even though it feels like it may be a little early, but this is actually the best time to start pruning your trees, and this is what Joe will be talking about. Joe Resch is one of our teachers. He is wonderful with plants, and I will let him tell us a little bit about himself.
Okay, so my name is Joe Resch. I've been growing plants since I was 5. I still have one alive somehow that made it since then. It's just a house plant, but anyways, I've been working with plants ever since then. I manage a retail nursery right now in Ottsville, Pennsylvania, called Linden Hill Gardens, which is a wonderful place. Check it out sometime. It's a blessing to be there, and I'm learning so much. And also in my own spare time and projects, I've been helping people with fruit trees, either residential or on farms. The best time to think about pruning your fruit trees is because the diseases and pests that would get into the wounds of the tree when you cut it are not going to be prevalent. The spores of the fungus will not be in the air then if the temperature is, around freezing, as opposed to yesterday here. We had a wet, rainy 50-degree day. Would not have been a good time to do that. Basically, for that reason, disease can get into the wounds of the tree.
You can just tell us real quick about the tools that are needed?
Sure. I mainly use, since we're dealing with fruit trees that are normally not humongous, they're not going to be like a giant oak tree, I can work with just hand tools. So a good pruning saw, sharp, sharpness is very important, and also hand pruners. I use Felco pruners. They are, in my opinion, the best brand out there. But basically what you want is a high quality pruner that has a sharp edge. If yours are dull, you can sharpen them easily. There are devices that you just put it in and pull it through, and it puts an edge on it for you. But you'll want to make sure that they're in good shape before you prune the trees, because if you leave a cut that is not clean on the edge of a branch, like let's say I cut it with dull pruners, I'm going to be damaging more of the wood and squishing it, and there's more space for disease to get in there. However, a clean cut will be easier for the tree to heal, and it will be much healthier for the tree. I do want to show a difference between two styles of pruners. These are called bypass pruners, and they make a nice clean cut on living wood of the tree, and those are the kind that I want to use. Another type of hand pruner that you might see are the anvil style. The blade doesn't bypass the other one, it just kind of pushes and smushes. They're better for cutting brittle, dead pieces off of shrubs, but I really don't want to use anything like this on a fruit tree because it's just going to damage that branch and leave room for disease to get into
So
it.
this one is not for live branches, right?
This
more
is not. I
for-
wouldn't even use it on the fruit tree at all. It's a no-no. So the other important part is sanitation. So if I'm working on one tree and then I go over to another tree with the same pruners, there's a chance I'm going to contaminate. If that tree has something going on with it, a disease could get transferred to the other tree. So very important, before I start on each tree, I'll take some isopropyl alcohol, the kind that you'd use for first aid.
That's good to know.
And an old
I never
rag,
thought about it.
an old
Okay.
clean rag, and wipe down the pruners before going. And also with the saw, a little more careful with the saw, but you'll still want to use the same method on that as well. You
So
don't have
you're
to go.
basically like a tree surgeon, It's like
Yes,
a little surgery.
it is.
You need to take care of all the sanitary concerns.
Yes, for sure. These are wounds that we're causing the tree, and I don't want to make you squeamish to cut the tree because this is more or less training. Trees lose branches all the time in nature. But in this case, we're actually going to be removing branches just to tell it how we want it to grow, to give us more fruit and give itself more sunlight. There are several things that we're looking for in a pruning. It's not just shaping the tree. Actually, the first priority is going to be to remove any dead wood that we see. And you can tell if wood is dead or not pretty easily. This one has actually got quite a few buds on it already. If it's got live buds on it, it's alive. If you're in doubt at all, a dead branch would be more brittle. Sometimes the color of it looks a little different also, or you could even scratch with your thumbnail and see if there's any green or white. If it just comes up flaky and brown, then it's dead. So that's one thing that we want to look for. The other is any diseased limbs are going to need to come out, no matter which ones they are, even if it's a large. Anywhere that you see the bark is swollen and something's growing there that shouldn't be, it needs to come out. And I would remove it not right where it is, but past it into a healthy portion of the branch so that I know I'm getting it all out. And even if I'm looking at this larger one here, I'm actually going to take down past this off, which leads me to another thing that we're looking for when we're pruning is any crossing branches that have the potential to rub on each other with the wind. That actually opens up a wound on the tree where a disease can get in also. Once we have any diseased or dead or dying wood out and all of the crossing branches, then we can look at what's left and start to think about the shape of the tree and what is going to help the tree to get more sunlight and airflow so it doesn't get as much disease as this one has. And then the other thing to consider is how are we going to get the fruit? It doesn't do any good to have a 20-foot tree unless you like climbing ladders. So normally with a tree of an apricot or a peach variety, we'll want to prune to an open center to let sunlight into the middle of the tree and onto all of the branches. So that will be the shape I'm going to be looking for on this one. We'll be removing some out of the center and focusing the energy where we can reach the fruit and where the sunlight can reach all of the leaves. And basically when it rains or it gets wet, it dries the leaves off quicker and the leaves get to photosynthesize better with the greater amount of sunlight too. I'm removing a whole branch. I do want to make it as flush as possible. We don't want to leave any ugly stubs. That'll just be dead wood and it could promote suckering out from it also. So I want to get it as close to the tree trunk as possible, but without cutting into the collar. There's normally a little collar around each branch where it will actually heal up. So here's one that was pruned maybe last year and it left a dead stub. This could actually be taken down right down to the collar and making a clean cut here, and then it's going to heal over and disappear much quicker. One other item that we will look for in pruning is water sprouts. They're most prolific on apple and pear trees, but we have a few on this guy also. Basically, they're young, vigorous growth that normally just pushes leaves out. They grow straight up from a trunk and they take energy away from the fruiting branches. So those will have to go also.